how can we use Carl Jung's archetypes as a means of exploring shadow work and opening up awareness when it comes to the incredible variety of energies working the black and white mirror of the soul? This will be our topic in today's episode of the Maverick Mystic Arts podcast. So, the archetypes, there's quite a few of them, and we'll get into those shortly. The key thing that we're working here as we are exploring this is the cultivation of awareness, of different attributes of energy, different qualities of energy. Now, in the basic initiation process, you have the exploration of the elements, earth, water, air, fire. We'll leave the Akasha aside for now. When we are working with, say, the earth element, you adopt the attributes of the earth element, and you really allow the mind to come into resonance with the earth element. You allow the astral fluid, the energies of the astral body, to come into resonance with the earth element and the physical as well. And you do this through all the elements. Now, in order to perceive anything, we need to have differentiation. We need to have two things for perception to occur, right? For recognition of that perception to occur. It requires two things. So this is why it can be so difficult to find our own unresolved issues in our soul mirror, is because there's no distance from those, or at least no novelty in relation to those that allow us to perceive it. So a basic object of meditation, let's say we're working less from a meditative standpoint, more from a mental training standpoint, and we're working on concentration. This is great because you're developing a reference point that over time becomes more refined than the habitual actioning, which is essentially stagnation of the identity in relation to whatever the character traits might be. So you have your identity and character traits, you have your point of reference, right? And normally they're doing this. And because they're together, you don't have any awareness of the character traits that are habitual and the identity that is ingraining those in. But as on the bottom here, this starts to become a more developed point of reference, it becomes more still. And we start to find, oh, look at all that actioning, all that doing of this character that I thought was just ingrained, that was just a part of me and innate that I was born into. You start to realize that, oh, there's space there, and now we can start to explore it. So the reference point, as it stills, essentially creates that ability for awareness to begin to occur. Once we've done that, we then can start to look at different types of reference points. So in the beginning, we often get consumed by and very often develop a zealot type attitude, a very religious type of attitude towards whatever the point of reference might be. And so this is where you get the person who does, one meditation workshop, maybe it's a little 10-day retreat or something, and then you meet up with them and they can't stop telling you how your life would be so much better if you did that, and that all other meditation is bullshit, and this is the way to be. You become there's a word that I can't quite call to mind right now, but you end up proselytizing whatever it is that has opened that door for you in the beginning. So let's say in basic concentration training, you can look at the point where the air comes in and out, this reference point right under the nose. You just feel the air as it moves from the outside to the inside, from the inside to the outside, and you feel that reference point. That's a very basic one. That's, for mental training and concentration. Maybe you're looking at the breath. Maybe you're looking at the thoughts, a specific thought. Maybe it's a mandala that you're holding sharp in the mind. Maybe it's the arising and falling away of thoughts. Maybe it's streamlines of multiple avenues of exploration. Maybe it's multiple mandalas. Maybe it's building a relationship in deity yoga. On and on and on and on. The potential objects of meditation are many, many, many. So, whatever it is that we're focusing on, this is going to be the object of meditation. And this will become a reference point through which we can observe everything that is not of that reference point, right? So, as we bring this into the archetypes of Carl Jung, we can begin to explore the intricacies of the alignment of the mental, astral, and physical bodies in relation to different character types. So when I first started exploring this, how I did it is I would go for these long walks in the woods, and I would take a character, archetype, say the king, and I would adopt I would meditate on the attributes of the king and invite those attributes through the bodies as I would walk. In order to do this, you need to be able to soften the matrices enough that the mental body can actually change into the king archetype. The astral body has to be able to change to adopt the qualities of the king archetype, as does the physical body. And so maybe I would walk for 30 minutes or an hour or 2 or 3 or 6 or whatever with that particular archetype in mind and work on coming into resonance with that. During that process, we end up encountering all of ourselves that is not in resonance with that. And then I would adopt another archetype that was fairly different. So maybe you adopt the queen or the princess or the prince or the warrior. You play between the king and the warrior, and you go back and forth just with two. The difference between the warrior and the sorcerer and the priest, or the king and the priest, and on and on and on. I don't have a full list of all the archetypes at the moment. I don't remember them all. But if you take two, this allows you reference, right? You're developing a reference point. When you're moving from your habitual character traits and identity into a new archetype, then you have the reference point of habitual you and the archetype. So now there's a difference. Then as we start to come into alignment with that new archetype, right? Now the difference starts to subside because we're coming into resonance with it. Because we're coming into resonance with it, we're unifying with the archetype. And the mental body has taken on new posturing, new form. The astral body's taken on new posturing and shape. The physical body has adapted into the posturing and the functioning of that archetype. We no longer feel the difference. So, because of that, we can't really perceive that archetype anymore. And then we can either make an effort to return to our habitual archetype and start to play back and forth and use the habitual archetype as the thing. We've come into alignment with, say, the king. Then what were those habits again that I thought were me? The posture, the mind, the emotions, the movement, the way the body moves. There's very intricate posturing that's related to the identity and character traits of the mental and astral bodies and how that reflects physically. So you start to look at that and you start to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And you realize, oh, well, maybe I am not as built in stone as a character as I thought I was. And then you take a different archetype. So you have, say, the king and the warrior, and you go king for an hour, warrior for an hour, or king for 5 minutes, warrior for 5 minutes, and you adopt as fully and completely as possible, mentally, astrally, and physically, the attributes of the king. than the attributes of the warrior. And you start to recognize that different qualities of identity create vast differences in energetic output and flow. And of course, as we said, the posturing. So whatever your deficits are in relation to that archetype, that's what we typically will feel first. And those deficits are our habitual holdings of character. So one of the big benefits of exploring all the different character types, going through what are the attributes of the princess, what are the attributes of the prince, and playing with all these different attributes, the warrior, the lover, all of them, is that you're taking the shape of the mental body, the astral body, the physical body, and you are consolidating it within a particular archetype, and then you are ripping it all apart, or opening up, dissolving that all, and reconsolidating into alignment with a different character trait and archetype, and then another, and then another. Through this, we start to massage open, just like when we do physical body work and we become more malleable and flexible and strong. We are capable of putting the body through many different types of exercise and postures and activities, whatever it might be. The same can be said for the identity potentials and the character potentials, the archetype potentials. So we are both strengthening the mental, astral, and physical bodies through this exercise, as well as making each of them more flexible and more adaptable. Through this practice, we start to develop an awareness within ourselves of the different qualities of feeling that we might be undergoing in any given moment, and the relationships through the mental and physical bodies to the feeling qualities as well. As this occurs, over time, we are able to differentiate more and more and more, because we know that so well within ourselves. We can recognize those archetypes and character traits in other people as well. The same applies to the elements, of course. And this gives us a type of, potentially opens a doorway to compassion and understanding, because the only reason that you can see that quality in someone else is because you recognize it in yourself. So it has a bit of an auto-regulating effect on attributes of judgment and ego and self-superiority that can come into play when we see a quality in somebody else, because you can recognize it in yourself, and you recognize that your recognition of it is a reflection of that potential that you've explored within yourself. So it's very helpful from that standpoint as well. So we are increasing the malleability of the mind, the openness, the malleability of the astral body, the mental body, the physical body. And this has very far-reaching effects when it comes to working and inviting much higher energies, when you start working with spheric energy and deep qualities of infinity and akasha and emptiness. It's important that we have done a fair bit of this work. If we haven't, then the potential swings rhythmically can be pretty potent. So this is one of many ways that you can explore this, and it can be quite a lot of fun to just go for a walk and play through the different character traits, the different archetypes. Now, is this like high-octane spiritual work? No, it is working and exploring the personality, the identity, from the layers that most of us have an easier time entering. If you've done a lot more spiritual work, then things change a little bit. But in the beginning, this is a very useful tool. And even if you're more advanced, it still can be a fun way to check how free you are, right? We all like to espouse our own virtues and freedoms and development along the path. But anything that we hold dear as a proof of concept to our own spiritual growth, this is where our growth will be capped. And the massaging open of these Jungian archetypes and many, many other systems you might like to use. This offers a really profound space of movement when it comes to opening those doors and further exploration. Okay, so that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're interested in training, please check out the website. We have a lot of workshops coming up. A number of them are weekend workshops. There's an initiation into Hermetic series. That's a 6-weekend series starting in September. There's a 1-month Akasha retreat. We'll be going deep into the Akasha. That's November, and a number of other weekend workshops as well in and around those. So anyway, if you're interested in training, please check those out. Please check out the courses on the website, and hopefully I'll see you out at one of those. All right, thanks a lot, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye.